Good evening and welcome to Africa's Boardroom, the show that reveals challenges and opportunities faced by businesses across the continent. I'm Stephen Gagnon. Tonight my guests and I discuss the issues around building and sustaining a high-performance procurement organisation. I'm joined by Tabelo Pecci, he's independent supply chain consultant, Chris Timmermans, global procurement lead at Accenture, Haley Walters, senior executive at Accenture South Africa, and Andrew Hillman, director of the Commerce Edge Academy. Welcome everybody. Tabelo, perhaps I can start with you. With the basics, what is the procurement function of an organisation? Just buying the stuff that you might need to on-sell, components for manufacturing?
I think basic procurement says that we must buy the right product or service at the right price, right quantities to enable the company to perform its core functions.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how can having a good procurement function in your organisation set you apart from your competitors?
Well, I believe there's different ways to set you apart. Foremost, because of the savings you generate. So you can have a material impact on profitability. We know, for example, that a very high-performing procurement organization would get $10 out of every $1 that they spend to run the procurement organization. So that's a high impact on profitability. Secondly, they can have a material impact on risk management. So they could actually make sure that the supply is there, that certain risks that are within the business are under control. And thirdly, they can actually bring a lot of innovation from the outside into the inside of the company, like new products, new ideas from suppliers that actually can also have a key revenue increase effect on the company. So high impact that procurement can have.
Well, Haley, you've been in before chatting about supply chains. How does the procurement function fit into the broader supply chain of a company?
Steve, I think the most important thing is about securing supply. So when we talk about procurement, we talk about indirect procurement of certain products and services, and then we talk about direct procurement. And I think absolutely critical is making sure that you get your direct procurement, your raw materials, your input materials into your manufacturing process or into your process that you're doing as a business. So I think that's the most important thing is around securing of supply. I mean, I think in South Africa we have had a number of issues around security of supply, both in retail, our foods industry or agriculture industry, even as basic as electricity. Exactly. So I think security of supply is absolutely number one, the impact. And then I think Chris has already referred to the material financial impact that procurement has on an organisation.
Well, Andrew, what do you think are the key risks if you don't have a proper procurement function within your company?
I think that there's some of the risks that one could find with not having proper procurement processes, being part of the strategy of the organisation. There are supply risks involved. There are quality risks that one could face. Of course, we talk about the cost savings that we could give up if we don't have the right procurement processes in place. And ever more these days, especially as a result of the recession or the depression in the economy, it's becoming even more important now to look at input costs. So, those are some of the risks that could be associated with not having a good procurement department.
I think just, Steve, to add what Steve has said, that there's a lot of maverick spending if procurement is not properly managed. People will buy as and when they like without looking at the company-wide strategy in terms of cost saving, because each and every department spends as it wills. There's no savings that can be gained by that particular organization.
So it's really managing the money going out of your organisation at the same time.
Exactly.
And Steve, I think just to add, I think that organisations, if they don't have a proper procurement function, certainly in South Africa, we've seen a significant reputational damage done to organisations where they're not procuring and where they're not commercially savvy because of the amount of corruption and the fraud that can be perceived within an organisation when there's poor governance over the procurement. So I think there is also the element of reputational risk that an organisation
could it be
runs.
something as simple as going to the supermarket and finding the shelves all empty?
It could be as simple as that. I think in South Africa, obviously, with a large infrastructure build program, in the capital build programs, we see that there's a lot of corruption or perception of corruption, both with the governments buying, with the state-owned enterprises buying, and without a professional, well-governed procurement function, I think the perception turns into a reality, and I think that's very important.
Chris, what's a procurement master? It's a term that Accenture uses in some of its documentation.
Yeah, for us, it's actually as for many consultants, it's important to understand what are the best practices out there. So what are the best things that people are doing? So we can apply that into our recommendations and into our work. For us, a master is somebody that actually has demonstrated clearly a better performance through their procurement function than people who are non-masters. When we translated that back, that we highlighted about 80 practices that these companies are doing differently from the other companies. Just to give you an example of a practice like that, a high performer has organized category management, as we call it, managing a category of spend for procurement. They have organized that in a central fashion while interacting with local business units and local sites, just to give you an example. But so masters are the ones that differ on 80 practices in the way they apply the best practices of procurement.